sit back, relax, and grab your snacks. Oh shit, that rhymed. Now join Genbu, King of Hearts, and Mr. Bochi as they tune you in and hype you up on your favorite anime, games, and more. So enjoy the ride, you're in good hands, and don't forget to comment and subscribe.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the Geek Blues podcast, where we tune you in and hype you up on your favorite things about geek culture. I got myself here, Genbu, and La Vida Loca. How you doing?
Hi everyone.
And of course, our special guest from the Bodysnatchers podcast, Tino himself. What's up, Tino?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Long day. Started off a little hungover, but I'm recovering.
Oh man, see, I'm the opposite. I got up this morning, got a million things done. I ran like 4 miles today. I'm actually hydrating as we speak.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah, I'm extra.
Too healthy.
Yeah, he is. So he works out a lot too. You do. I checked out your Instagram not too long ago.
We gotta add each other. I'm gonna add her too, man. I'm a firm believer in, you gotta have body and mind, right? That doesn't mean it's perfect, but I think you should take care of both, and you'll be able to just be the best you that you can be. That probably sounds super cliche.
You could.
But I mean, I used to be fat and not read, and when that happened, like I look back and I think of myself like a young overweight me, like just sweating out pizza grease, and I'm like, Jesus, man. It sounds good at the time, but then when you look back, you're like, well, you know what? Maybe water instead of Red Bull. Like I can make better choices.
Yeah, I don't want to be like that anymore.
I know Natalie right here. La Vida Loca. I'm sorry, I used her government name, but whatever.
Her government name.
Yeah, Loca over here. She's trying to lose a little bit of weight. She still looks good, as I'm told by a lot of people. So you should feel good about yourself, Loca. All right.
I've never seen her, but
Thanks.
I fell in love with the accent immediately. So.
Oh, thank you.
So. Tino, now for our listeners, and for those of us who aren't not us, but those listeners who aren't familiar with your podcast, would you mind just give them a little bit of what you guys are about?
So, I guess I'm the ringleader, so to speak, of Bodysnatchers podcast. We've been around for like a really long time, but we used to be like a clan tag thing going back into like early 2000s, and the last, I'd say, probably 18 months or so, we picked up momentum with the podcast. We do nerd culture, so I mean anime, comics, comic book movies, manga, things of that nature, and definitely video games as well. So we've got a pretty broad spectrum, similar to what you guys appear to be doing, and it just offers a lot of versatility, because that way we've got access to a lot of different material to talk about. There's something on our show for everybody involved in nerd culture, is more or less what I like to hit. And I think the depressing thing that happens full circle is, as we're hitting all these subjects and I'm on every show myself as a host, I'm like, what a loser am I?
Far from it.
I'm a borderline, I wouldn't say expert, but like I'm very well versed in a little bit of everything. And I'm like, I don't know how that happened, but that's what we do. We're based, mostly in Chicago. One of our hosts is out in California. If you guys are interested in checking out our show, you can go to bodysnatcherspodcast.com. There we've got links to the show. We're on Castbox, Spotify, iTunes, like a million things. And we're on all major social networks. So you can find us through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even Snapchat. So that's where you'll find us if you want to check it out.
Nice. And guys, please check them out. I myself am a big fan of your podcast, and I've heard many of your episodes. And for those our listeners know, I was on your podcast as a guest and enjoyed our Tokyo Ghoul discussion very much.
No, and we loved having you, man. We definitely had a great discussion. I went back and listened to that episode like 2 or 3 times and was like, man, it's just a breath of fresh air to be able to speak to somebody new who's pretty well versed in everything, and just to have a fun time. Because a lot of people, their spectrum for Tokyo Ghoul or a lot of nerd topics, it's so small, and I feel like I'm almost like teaching a class or something at that point. So it was kind of nice to be able to go back and forth and banter and just have a good old nerd discussion, debates, if you will.
Oh yeah, truly. And you guys are you and Gia, you guys are so knowledgeable. I was like we said earlier, it was so refreshing. I was like, wow, these guys is great. It was great talking to y'all. Like finally some people I can talk to and they know what they're talking about. They know the ins and outs, and I felt really good.
It's funny because like on the show, we try our hardest to, I guess get along, so to speak, because we do get along. But like, if you ever watch like one of our random gaming streams that we do, it's so opposite. Like we're definitely just like at each other's heads, like just treating each other's lives every time somebody mispronounces something or whatever. We're just, we call them out on it. It's real petty, but that's our friendship. So it makes me happy. Glad to have her on the show. And for the people who don't know, Gia is our California host that I mentioned, and she actually is an up and coming cosplayer. So, if people are into cosplay, she does a, shout out Apollo Star Cosplay. We have links of her all up on our stuff as well. So, just something to look at if you guys have time. She'll be happy I mentioned it. In fact, if I didn't, she'd probably yell at me privately.
In fact, going off of that, I checked out her Kitana cosplay. That was fire. I liked it a lot.
Dude, she makes all that stuff from scratch. Like, she's not like one of those like normal cosplay hoes that just buys stuff and, puts a thong on. It's like, I'm a cosplayer. Like she is always taking classes, year round for, learning how to work with metal or learning how to work with leather or whatever. And she sends me like, pictures on a personal level all the time of like just cool stuff that she's working on. So, if you guys are into that aspect of cosplay as well, definitely go on there and reach out to her. She loves talking to people. Oh, I made, this leotard doing this or whatever. She just loves doing that stuff.
Definitely. Her name's Apollo Star, right?
Correct.
All right. Yeah, I was like, she got that katana cosplay on point, and that takes a lot of talent to make your own stuff like that, and it's a lot of dedication. Right. So big shout out to Gia for that.
Definitely.
I just want to learn like 10% of that stuff, and I'll be straight.
Right.
I can change brakes on a car. I'm good.
I always try and like I did a few cosplays back in the day, like as like Spider-Man or Venom, but I definitely want to like get into some more stuff. But there's not too much cosplay that Black people can really do too much without
I mean, and
I like doing like characters of color. You know what I mean?
Didn't you do Spider-Man one time?
Yeah, I just said that, Natalie.
I'm sorry. I
awkward.
Sorry, it's been the few shots I've had.
Yeah, you drink too much. Go, you're flagged. What were you saying, Tino?
You can, cosplay is kind of a fun environment because you can do whatever you want to do. Granted, like I get where you're coming from, like, for not even just African Americans, but minorities in general, like there are a lot of limited options. However, I think that makes it more fun. Like I remember seeing this one chick when what movie was that? Give me a second, my brain's escaping me. Will Smith and Friends.
Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Was that the one you're talking about?
Yeah. No, that's it. Will Smith and Friends. And
because I guess he was the lead man on that. He saved the movie.
Man, if you want to call it that.
Right. Or he tried, or
different conversation.
Somewhat afloat.
different conversation, because I could go in all day about how much I hate that movie. But I see there was a random cosplayer, and I apologize because off the top of my head right now I can't remember her name, but I'll never forget that picture where she did a take on that movie's Harley Quinn, and it was a black girl, and boy, did she kill that cosplay. Like she filled it out in ways that just we didn't get in the movie. It just made you like not even want to see it after you've seen her picture. And I don't even want to like 100% sexualize it. Like it's not just that, it's just the way that she looked on camera. Like she just had this empowerment vibe about it where I was like, if you look at it for the first time, you almost feel like, this is what Harley Quinn should be. Not to take anything away from, the actress that played her, but I'm just saying if
Margot,
if somebody of color can step into cosplay and give you that type of feel, then that's a positive step forward, I think. So but that's my stance on it.
No, I agree with you. I just wish we had more heroes of more recognition for minority heroes in the comic industry and and things like that. You know what I mean? It'd be cool just to have as many heroes of minority to cosplay as there are Caucasian heroes or
And you know what? Last year, for February, and it might sound kind of cliche, but every single day I highlighted an African American either superhero or video game character.
That's great.
You did on your Instagram too, right? On your Instagram, yeah. I remember I was going through your Instagram and I
Twitter,
saw that.
Facebook. Yeah, man. Well, and I just because like I'm mixed. I'm actually, white, black, and Puerto Rican. But if you just look at me, people are like, he's black. That's what he is. He's black. He's got that good hair. So that's what we live with. But either way, like I take a lot of pride, in my race, and I felt that it was necessary to highlight that because I'm like, you know what? Why does nobody else do this? And to be honest, it ended up being more work than I thought to like have the proper hashtags and to make sure I never missed a day. But you know what? Right. I wrote out a list beforehand. I took the time, and to be honest, when I was done with that list, I had probably 50 other names I could have put on there. And that made me feel good because it's one of those things where, like, unless you really sit down and think about it, it does feel like there's no black characters, but there's really way more than you would think. So if you ever get time, run through that list. I mean, look at it and just have fun with it. I think the most popular one, ironically, was Garnet from Steven Universe.
Yeah, and they definitely should get more recognition. We actually, on our last episode, we spoke about how, black individuals just don't get enough recognition for what they do. So I think it is very important, especially going forward in our society.
I agree completely. Like, for instance, all the Green Lantern movies that are coming out, why not once have they talked about Jon Stewart? He was the best one.
Thank you.
They're like, let's do Kyle Rayner. I'm like, that dude was a douchebag. Like, well, I mean, Kyle Rayner, he was okay, I guess. But, Hal Jordan, he was okay. But Guy Gardner, come on. You can't make a Guy Gardner movie before you do... you can't. Our Black Green Lantern, you can't.
Like, that'd be a sin. That'd be a sin if they did
that. or Steel. Like, come on, man. Like, we had Steel with Shaq. Like, that was an embarrassment. Like, we can't get one Steel movie, like, where we've just really got, like, a decent actor to play him, because, like, the concept is really dope. He's somebody who got inspired by Superman and, took the law into his own hands and, made shit happen. And I just think it'd be really cool for people to see somebody who worked at a junkyard, but is also like an engineer who does his own thing. Like, it would just be so awesome to see in 2018 or 2019, whatever. But we'll see, man. Just sit tight. We'll wait.
I'm definitely waiting. I'm hoping and I'm praying.
Yeah.
So. I'm sorry. You have more to add?
No. I was just going to say, I'm ready to cut into the meat and potatoes today,
right.
if you will.
Here we go. So we're talking about the evolution of cartoons. Now, I myself am a 90s baby. I know, Tino, you might be only a couple years older than me.
Yeah.
If I'm not assuming. Hopefully I'm not. Well, I kind of am assuming a little bit, but am I assuming correctly?
I mean,
the question.
I am late 80s baby. But
90s bait, yeah.
I look.
So we're all in the same bracket still.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of, but I mean, I don't know. I look like I'm still like 20, so I'll take it.
Yeah, you look young.
That's the plus we get. It's the trade-off.
Yep, black don't crack unless you do crack. Didn't one of you guys say that?
I probably. That sounds familiar.
I think I heard that from one of you guys.
I told you that last time you were here.
I played the fifth.
No, not you, Loka. I'm talking about Tino here. I'm pretty sure one of them said that on their show. I'm
pretty
sure.
Oh, you said that too?
I think one of them said it. I think you said it, Tino. You might have said it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I can guarantee you one of us said it, because that sounds like something we would say.
A Bodysnatchers quote. But yeah, so the evolution of cartoons. I'm most of my experience with cartoons. Growing up. 90s. A lot of great stuff. Especially. Now, Tino, one of your recent episodes, you mentioned Hey Arnold, and Steven was like, he was like, what? I don't like that show. I was like, wait a minute, what? Hey Arnold.
Right?
That's a classic.
Right? He's don't worry about him. He's an uncultured piece of shit. I mean, Hey Arnold was definitely a game changer, and not only Hey Arnold, but if we're talking about Nickelodeon specifically, they had so many amazing shows. Hey Arnold kept it real all the way through. It was relatable for anybody who has lived or been in any sort of urban setting for a while. Which was nice, and it was different perspectives. It was obviously mostly like white kids, but we had Gerald on there, and he held it down and was relatable. And Phoebe,
they showed different cultures in there too. Cool.
Phoebe was Philippine, I believe. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure she was. And it was just well rounded. And not only Hey Arnold, but you also had As Told by Ginger, which as a boy when that came out, I remember being turned off because I thought it was going to be, you know, a girly show. But once,
Right.
you know, I had become vested in it, I'm like, dude, this shit, you know, hits just as hard, if not harder than Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
You know, on an
I'm glad you
emotional
mentioned
level.
that because I was heavy into that show growing up too. Like I tuned into it. I was like, "Those shows amazing." I love.
But Kevin and I were discussing earlier how he thought earlier, like today's shows were just not as, I guess, attractive to our population as they were before. And I was arguing the fact that, us being 90s babies, we were kids, and that was probably more attractive to us because the fact that we were kids and now we're adults watching these cartoons, and that's probably why we're just not as into it. There's a nostalgia part of in it. The more I thought about it, the more it kind of like sunk in, that fact.
So
You know?
here's my thought on what you're saying. As far as having a nostalgic bias, I agree with you. However, most of your statement, I'm gonna politely disagree with you. and
That's fine.
here's my thing. You guys, when you're discussing most of these 90s shows, as far as like articulation and depth, you know, we're talking about what was worth talking about. We're talking about Hey Arnold. We're
Right.
talking about As Told by Ginger, but you're not highlighting the shows that, you know, were essentially crap that we wouldn't mind watching again for, you know, nostalgic purposes, but they weren't good, you know. So if
Right.
let's stick with Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
You know, we can say, you know, Angry Beavers, you know, that was a cool show, or a Cat Dog, but realistically there was no, occasionally, very rarely, it had a little bit of depth, but I mean, it was so few and far between, it's not even worth mentioning.
Yeah.
And then when you've got shows in, you know, today's society, it's the same thing. So what you need to do is you need to hone on the shows that are worth watching, because shows that I'll watch today, I'm just as interested in as if I was going to sit down and watch Hey Arnold when I was, you know, freaking, I don't know, like 8 or 9, 10 years old or whatever.
What shows are you referring to?
Well,
The ones you watched today.
and I'm glad you asked. So there are really good shows. So let's say, now this is early 2000s, but let's start off with Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, classic. Love that.
Super,
Yeah.
super deep, great story. If you sit down and watch that, you don't want to walk away from the TV. I don't care what you're doing. You don't watch one episode and go, "That's enough for me." You don't.
Right.
You know, even if you've seen it, like, it's just that good. Let Steven Universe, or Adventure Time, or Regular Show. You know, these are all shows that are much newer, and they're insanely relatable with subjects that they're tackling. And the reason I like these new cartoons better than the old cartoons is because they hit issues that are really close to home, but they don't do it in a straightforward manner, which is why a lot of people sleep on them and they think it's just a kids show. But then when you go and watch, you know, let's say Steven Universe. Steven Universe, if you just see one random episode, it looks like it's a
Right.
crap show. It does. How vested are you guys in Steven Universe, if you don't mind me asking?
Steven Universe. I've heard about. I've not yet had the chance to check it out yet.
Yeah. Same.
Okay, so let me.
Can you tell us a little bit about it actually while we're on the subject?
I can't wait. Let me educate you people, because you will be happy that I did. So Steven Universe, I seen the pilot episode, I seen a couple other episodes, and I slept on it for the first almost 2 years. Just being honest with you guys. Because the show was, you know, you got a little kid who's got a little, you know, looks like a white boy with an afro, who's short, kind of pudgy. He's got a gem in his tummy, so it reminded me of like a troll. You know, I'm going off like relatable things that I didn't know. And then I see a whole bunch of women, and now I'm kind of like annoyed. And I hate to be that guy, but I have to be honest with you guys and your listeners. Like, I, you know, thought it was going to be like one of those like girl power, feminine, you know, this and that. And I'm like, oh God, I don't have time for that. You know, like, you know, brats or something.
Right.
And I couldn't have been more wrong. So Steven Universe, and I'll try not to take too much time, but I think that you guys should know.
Yeah.
You know, it's about these crystal gems. That's like a group. They're these beings where they're gems that stay on Earth, and they're defenders for Earth, and they're thousands of years old. And Steven is half human, half gem. His mother was Rose Quartz, who was the leader of the crystal gems, and she fell in love with a human in this town called Beach City. And in order for her, like, she became infatuated with human life, basically, because gems, like I just said, are thousands of years old, whatever.
Right.
And in order for her to have a child, because she's a gem, she needed to essentially kill herself. So she falls in love with this human, and Mr. Universe, Greg is his name, and they have a baby who's Steven. So he has his mother's gem inside of his tummy, and he has like her power set and everything else, but he never got to meet his mom. And it's not like a real basic like Angry Beavers thing, since I mentioned that earlier, where it's just, oh, parents are parents.
Right.
Like they take their time emotionally to break you down where you definitely feel something. And they tackle a bunch of issues. For instance, Garnet is a fusion of two different gems. And it's two gems that are in love with each other. And that's kind of like how fusion works. Like you have to have like an emotional connection with the other gem in order to, form a more powerful being. And they do a play on that because the two gems are, they don't say their sex, but they're blatantly females. And, the whole thing is like they're inadvertently addressing, the love and like, I guess you could say like, not even guess, it is, like a gay relationship. So it's one of those things where normally I wouldn't have given something like that a chance, not because, I don't care, but just that's not one of the things I go out of my way to do. I see a cartoon, I want to get right in. And, you fall in love with like the whole situation and what they go through to become that. And then the other side to that is they have fusions that are forced, where it's like, somebody's like, force with me, we need more power, like that kind of situation.
Right.
And what happens is like, yeah, power is there, but, usually that gem is considered to be like tainted and it's imbalanced and unhealthy and it falls apart. So they have another situation with a different set of gems where, they force that upon each other. And it's basically, again, inadvertently describing, relationships and how you can't force something that's not there. And that's just kind of like some of the surface stuff. It gets really, really deep. And then not only that, these gems that I have been describing that are on on Earth with Steven protecting it, they're protecting it from Homeworld. So they were originally sent. There's a huge space colony that goes out, conquers planets, and destroys them. And they came to Earth, and Steven's mother was like, you know what, I'm not doing this, and she led a rebellion. And that's how she got on Earth and everything else. And this all happened thousands of years ago. So I don't want to keep talking and bore anybody, but.
Yeah.
No, you're good. You're good. But I actually want to check this out now.
Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. And then the other side to it is this whole thing is written by Rebecca Sugar, who is also one of the most amazing musicians I've ever heard in my life. Being an audio engineer, I always fall in love with somebody who just gets really in depth. And she makes the most beautiful music for this thing. And I'm not like a giant fan of musicals, although I am very familiar with many, just because I hate being ignorant to anything. But I'm telling you guys, like once you fall in, they have all these really fun like ukulele songs, even the theme song, that once you get invested, like you're going to love it. And the episodes are like 11 minutes. They power through, even if it's a filler episode, like it's 11 minutes, boom, you're on the next one. And there's 5 seasons. And I kid you not, if you guys start this and let's say in a month from now, you get back to me, I guarantee you'll be the biggest fans. Like I was such a huge fan that I went out to Anime Pasadena earlier this summer and cosplayed as Steven Universe and learned all the songs on ukulele and even made money on the street singing and having fun cosplay.
Oh, that's great. Wow.
That's fire. That's pretty dope. I like that.
Man.
I had actually, after seeing pictures of it, my sister watches this, and the animation to me wasn't so appealing, but Rebecca Sugar is said to be the first woman that ever created a Cartoon Network show. So I'm definitely for giving minorities of any type of group a chance for all of the things that they come up with. So I'm definitely going to keep this in one of my watch lists.
Man,
you're supporting
it won't let you down. It's and I don't want to speak so highly of just this one thing, because I could say the same thing for Adventure Time or regular show in their own in their own right. But Steven Universe, like, man, like that's where it's at right now. Like I know like kids love it, adults love it. It's just one of those things that it's a diamond in the rough, like it's there, but you guys would have never given it the chance unless somebody is like, like I'm doing right now. I'm saying, I'm putting you on, like, check this out. You will not be disappointed.
Definitely. Yeah.
And so, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. I just have a question about what you recently just said just now about Adventure Time. Now, here's my thing about Adventure Time. Now, I need you to tell me exactly your opinion of Adventure Time and how you think it's I I know you said that they tackle some issues in a different way. Adventure Time and the regular show. Did you say, or something along those lines? You said
I did. Yeah, I said both of those.
What now I've only watched a couple episodes of Adventure Time, just to, kind of check it out,
Oh
the past and
my
everything.
god, there's missing pieces like to the puzzle that should be your soul that you're just.
Because I'm looking at it though, and I'm like, it seemed like another Angry Beavers to me, and I know you might now. Now that might just be because I didn't give it much of a chance, but maybe you can give me a little bit of an enlightenment real quick before.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I'll dive in, and I'll also make a comparison. Are you familiar with Futurama?
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Okay, you guys are probably, from that response alone, I assume that you're fairly big into Futurama, or at least you've seen every episode, almost every.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of episodes from that from
Back
Futurama.
in the day, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Once a year, I probably binge watch all the seasons. Like, I'm a huge fan. Now, and I don't want to get into Futurama deeply because you asked about Adventure Time, but do you recall moments of Futurama in comparison to a lot of other TV shows where you felt incredibly emotionally attached and you didn't expect to?
Honestly,
Sometimes.
yes. Yeah.
For instance, do you guys remember the episode with like Fry's dog?
Fry's dog.
Fry's dog, which?
Oh man, well if you,
I don't know if I remember that one.
Refresh my memory.
I know one episode that I was attacked was when I think it was when why am I forgetting her name right now? Oh, come on. The one-eyed, the Cyclops chick.
Leela.
Is that when he finds the not that dog, but like the frozen? I don't know how.
Like a fossil, so to speak, of his dog.
Yes, the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, but it goes down memory lane where it was like him and his puppy, and they were working at the pizza shop together, and everybody obviously treated Fry like shit, and the only thing that made him happy was that puppy. And
yes,
when Fry disappeared.
Wait, it's starting to come back to me a little bit. Yeah, keep. I think I'm starting to remember that. Keep telling me. Yeah,
well,
keep going.
When Fry disappeared, his dog went to the pizza place every day until it died, waiting for Fry to come back, and he never came.
Oh,
and it showed
my God,
it showed
yes.
the seasons changing and the dog getting tired and sad, and then it just died in that spot and became a fossil. Like I'm actually
that is really sad.
I'm getting teary eyed. Like I didn't expect to, but like it's so vivid in my mind, and that's one of those roller coasters. You guys probably blocked it out, or maybe you were half paying attention. Who knows? I don't know your personal lives, but for me, that was an emotional experience that touched me, and I didn't expect it to. I got on here because I wanted bite my shiny metal ass, jokes like that, and instead, what I got was me being moderately teary eyed and just feeling I'm not sure how to feel afterwards. And with Adventure Time, I can't say that you'll necessarily get that emotionally attached, but it's more than what it seems. I mean, you're in the land of Ooh, which if you're looking at it, is this crazy, wacky world, and you find out that it's much deeper. You find out that he doesn't know his parents, that he's been adopted, that he's on his own, that there was some sort of a war that happened years ago that annihilated like the whole planet amongst humans. And like BMO, for instance, is like a product of technology when they were manufacturing stuff for war. A lot of the quote unquote magic is different things that were created in order to kill and destroy other nations. Candy, not Candyland. I apologize right now because my brain wasn't really focused on that. But the Candy Kingdom,
you're good.
Candy Kingdom, where they've got walking, talking. Literally giant pieces of candy and sweets. You find out that their evolution comes from mutants from the post-apocalyptic world, from all the nuclear explosions and stuff that had occurred from the war before. So it's not really just a kids show. Like, they do wacky, silly stuff, but I mean, they even go as far as to kill characters in that show where like they die. Like, there's this character, the Lynch, who I shouldn't be saying this because I'm going to spoil it, so hopefully you forget later. But the Lynch...
No, go ahead. Definitely, go ahead.
Finn has his idol. It's this guy named Billy. He's kind of like a giant. He's this awesome hero. He's a little bit of an older guy now. And, he's a reoccurring character. You grow to love him. And, Finn just wants to be just like him. And one day he goes to see, Finn goes to see Billy. And he finds out that the Lynch had gotten to Billy, killed him, and then put his skin on over him.
Oh
yeah,
whoa,
yeah, yeah, dude. Like it's up there. And it makes you feel some type of way because you become attached to Billy, and you're like, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
you're like, surely, like, this is, they're gonna go back. It's just a bad dream, or they wouldn't. This can't be an episode. It is. So now Adventure Time, I will say, is a little bit trickier than Steven Universe to watch because it's one of the they hit you with a side, like a curveball, man. Like, you'll be watching it and it's like playful, goofy shit, and then like every like sixth episode they hit you with some dark reality where it just hits close to home. You're like, whoa, what the hell is that about? And they're like, just kidding, we're gonna go back to saying goofy stuff, ha ha ha, kids show. Yeah. But definitely watch that. But I would recommend Steven Universe first.
All right, Steven
All
first.
right, I'll keep that in mind.
All right, so I'm gonna give them both because you suggested it. I'm gonna give them both a chance. Especially Steven Universe, definitely that.
Yeah, maybe we've been too critical of these new cartoons lately.
Well, but see, here's the other side though: is there's really bad shows. So like, if you take Cartoon Network, one show that I bring up all the time because it's one of the worst fucking shows I've ever seen in my life is Uncle Grandpa.
Oh my god, yeah. I can't stand that shit.
It's just,
that shit gets me. Ugh.
And it's so bad that when you guys binge watch Steven Universe, they did a crossover episode where he's randomly in one, and I skipped it. Like, I couldn't even watch my own Steven Universe episode because they had Uncle Grandpa in there, and Rebecca Sugar was like, "Guys, do I really got to do this shit?" And they're like, "Look, lady, you have to just one time." And it's it's just stupid, and so there's a lot of stupid shit that's out there. But again, I just want you guys to make sure you're remembering that there was stupid stuff before. It's just the good stuff now is being put together honestly by our generation. So there are people who want to make the same type of stuff that are our age or maybe a little older, younger, but they're doing it in a more artistic fashion. It's not as straightforward as the other stuff, because Hey Arnold, it was like, I'm a boy that lives in the city, and like, here's a heavy situation, like real obvious shit. But this stuff is
right.
You actually got to be in tune and get into it. But you'll see. I wouldn't have brought it up if I thought like it was subjective. If you guys are doing a nerd podcast and you like half the shit that I think you do, there's no way you're gonna watch this and be disappointed. I promise. You'll thank me.
Oh, I'm in your Bodysnatchers Facebook group, so I can definitely get back to you when I start watching it.
I'm definitely down, man. And I got a little bit more time, so I mean, if you guys want to bring up a few more things or anything you'd like to,
if you got time, we got time, my brother. All right, I'm happy. Whatever. So, yes. As far as since we're doing a little reminiscing and all that, some nice nostalgia going on. Can I let me give you a few shows, Tino, and I want to get your opinion of them from back in the day. All right.
Sure.
Now, one, what did you think of just a little? What did you feel about Courage the Cowardly Dog?
Fun. I mean, I loved it as a kid.
Could you go? So could you see yourself watching it now again as an adult and not maybe enjoying it the same, but kind of like?
I can't binge watch it. Like, I can sit down and watch an episode and enjoy it, but there's no way in hell that I would sit down and watch like multiple episodes of
Gotcha.
Courage the Cowardly Dog. Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't do it either. It gets too repetitive. But what I did notice, I was like, in the past few days, I've been rewatching a few shows. Is like the hidden meanings that sometimes these kids shows per se had, and when you're a kid you don't even realize it, but when you're a grown-up watching it, you're like, oh my god, should that be in a kids show? I was watching SpongeBob with my sister a few weeks ago, and there was actually this one episode where SpongeBob was watching a not so childlike TV show, and then Gary walks in and he's like, oh my god, Gary, and then change the channel.
Somebody made a meme about that.
Like, how it's just like things like that are just not supposed to be in a kids show. And then you see other of our 90s shows showing some of that kind of stuff too, which kind of like makes you think, what the hell are they doing?
And I feel you, but how many old shows have you gone back and honestly watched like front to back again as an adult, knowing what you know now?
Thank God. But you know, you can see that in a lot of them. Like I went back to like Tom and Jerry, and some of the animations that they had were not like kids appropriate.
You
Even
mean
going into
none
like
of them?
Rugrats were inappropriate.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, Natalie.
Rugrats. I want to be naked. That shit is funny.
Oh,
I mean, there's
Yeah, there's not. I mean,
there's an episode of. Did you guys ever watch Captain Planet as kids?
oh yeah.
So when you think of Captain Planet, you think, Captain Planet, the cool song and the rings, and the kids had the powers, and like, each kid was like a different, race. Like Wheeler was a Irish kid from Brooklyn, and the black guy came straight from Kenya. The Earth, whatever, funny stuff. But that show was really straightforward, man. Like I came across an episode that's a legitimate episode where, again, these are supposed to be kids fighting for the planet as far as pollution and stuff is concerned, and they're fighting a bunch of bad guys. And I forget like exactly what's going on and why, but I won't forget this. The bad guys, in order to cause chaos, were in the Middle East, and they were handing off bombs to random Middle Easterns.
oh my
Like
God.
bomb controllers and stuff, and buttons for nukes. And they even went as far as to say, yeah, and everybody's gonna know who to hate just based on the color of their skin. Like had like that evil
Oh
laugh.
my God.
And I was like, dude, what the
Cartoons
fuck?
were not censored.
I was like, like you'll never, mark my words, you'll never see something like that in a cartoon today. Like you'll see some shit that's messed up.
Oh, yeah, you wouldn't.
A quick thing on like she said on SpongeBob or something, but you're not gonna see hate somebody by the color of their skin. Like that's some wild shit.
Yeah,
that's why you don't see
definitely.
Captain Planet reruns. Like there's a lot of shows like
Right.
so.
Definitely.
Especially since nowadays and in today's era, it's a lot more political.
Everybody's too fucking soft, I think.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
in a way,
You know-
today's cartoons are way more censored than they used to be back in our time.
Well, I mean, and that.
Yeah, but it's like yeah.
I was gonna say, like, there's still a lot of people censoring shit. Like, for instance, in Steven Universe, like they have like there's a gay, lesbian marriage, whatever you want to call it, and it's despite your own personal feelings on the matter, it's a really like beautiful, like warm scene that happens. And I don't want to say specifically with who, because I do want you guys to watch it and be surprised. And it's nothing inappropriate either. It's very short, it's real quick, it's very cute, and just the way they did it is just nice. And I'm like a manly man, so for me to say that shit, like, I mean it. And I think the Canadian network or Cartoon Network or whatever the hell it is that airs on up there, ironically, because Canada's like super peaceful, like, dude, they block that shit out, and I guess they're notorious for blocking a lot of that stuff out. Anything that has to do with that, like, it's crazy to me. But like, I didn't believe it. Somebody, I think on Twitter, had tagged me in it and like, no, dude, you gotta look. And like, I had just watched the episode fresh in my mind, and they sure as hell cut off everything.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not surprised, especially with that area. Actually, you know what? This is a little bit. Since we're talking about like stuff being cut in and cut out, Tino, I want to bring up something to you. It's a little off topic, but whatever. Fuck it. I'm still gonna bring it up. Now, Tino, I know you're a huge Dragon Ball Z fan. Dragon Ball everything, right? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's a love-hate thing, but
I get that feeling from the podcast, but that I've listened to.
Yeah, I mean, I love to hate on Dragon Ball a lot, but like at the end of the day, like, I am a fan, and I'll always be a fan. It's easy for me to take shots at.
Oh yeah, I feel you on that. I'm a fan. I'm a fan myself. I'm not. I've pretty much seen every saga and everything, but where I'm going with this is pretty much now in Dragon Ball Super, the Goku Black saga. All right.
Okay.
So I finished watching Dragon Ball Super about maybe a month or two, about 2 months ago, and I'm watching my TV right now. I'm watching my TV and just chilling, and on Toonami they have the dub episodes on there.
Right.
So I'm just reliving the moments, the best moments, just watching Goku and Trunks fight Zamasu and Goku Black and everything. So when in the dub version, all right. When Goku and Vegeta and Trunks first go back to the future to help out Trunks fight Goku Black, Do you remember when the soldiers mistook Goku for being Goku Black?
Oh yeah, I know the exact scene that you're speaking of. And
Right.
It was hilarious.
So, yo, I'm watching this shit the other day, and they all, they're fired at him. They're shooting missiles and everything, and they're like, "Wait!" And Trunks is like, "Stop! Don't shoot him. He's not black."
Yeah, that was
Oh God.
that was gold.
That is
I was like, "Wait a minute! Did no one see anything wrong with that statement?"
I really believe it wasn't intentional, although if you
Oh yeah, of course. I don't think it was either.
but if you told me that it was, I wouldn't be 100% surprised, But I'm not mad at it at all. Like, I mean, I laughed, and the thing is, I almost would have never seen it. Somebody had pointed it out months ago. I think they turned it into like a meme or something, because I watched the original. I seen it everything as it was airing. I just been watching the subs, so I've only seen maybe 2 dub episodes ever. And when somebody tagged me in that, like I lost it. Like, it's just funny as hell, man. I agree.
Oh God.
And it was even funnier for me because when I'm not working with this podcast, I'm actually a police officer. I work in an big urban city. So I and see, that made it even more funnier for me. I'm like, wow, people who are seeing this are probably like, what?
Yeah.
But it was just that I just had to bring that up because as we're talking about, people cutting things, removing things, and everything like that. I don't know why that came to my head for some reason. So I just wanted to mention it.
I got you.
That's right, but you kind of gotta wonder like what kind of support they had back in the day to make it seem for them okay to release that kind of like video on there.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Is he not black or whatever?
No,
Dragon Ball,
that's actually
that came.
I was saying Super. That's
recent.
That was technically last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Like I said, I don't think they realized what was going on until it already was there. But I just found it fucking hilarious.
Oh my God, no.
I mean, that's not any worse than Pokemon having Jinx, though. So it's like,
Oh,
it's not the worst.
yeah, that's bad. That's bad. I love, but those Jinx and Mr. Popo memes crack me up.
Same. I mean, I find them funny. So it's like it's whatever, man.
But it is like the way they made her. You could tell they were obviously making fun of black people with that Pokemon. Because I know it's not really I know the. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it. I'm not trying to get too political. I'm just gonna stop myself, but because I was getting ready to open up another can of worms, so I'm not gonna go there. But what I will say is that as far as getting back to the cartoon transition and the evolution and the changes it's made. People have made the cartoons and everything going in. Tino, what would you say is as far as from everything you've said so far, we do see a lot of in today's cartoons they do take a little bit of a political aspect. Like they go about it a different way and they kind of like make you think a little bit more. That's a point you were making earlier? Am I right?
To an extent, yeah.
Or did I misread that?
No. I mean, I don't think we went to. I mean, as far as like, I was probably speaking more so on, emotional and adult situations. And just the gravity of it versus, you saying like political stuff. However, I think that the political aspects are also important. I don't like straightforward stuff, where like they're trying to make a direct connection now. Like you see it all the time in like normal TV sitcoms outside of cartoons, like Grey's Anatomy, for instance. They do that shit all the time where something happens and then they do like some real corny variation of it on their show. And I'm like, okay, like whatever. But like take like the original X-Men, for instance. And they have like the acts against mutants and all that kind of stuff. All that political mumbo jumbo crap that happens. I mean, like, yeah, on the surface, like it's mutants and they're it's ignorance and they don't understand them and they're capturing them and killing them and all this other stuff. But isn't that a little bit relatable to some other sort of minority that we might be a little bit familiar with?
Exactly.
Maybe just a little bit. And that's not even just black folks like that. I mean, again, that extends to everybody. And a lot of the situations like will blow your mind. Like they'll have somebody in the Olympics, and somebody will do something like she's probably one of them mutants, and it's like, and they even use hits and shit to describe it, and that's funny as hell to me because they're bringing attention to real matters, but they're using mutants to do it. So it's a good story regardless. You can't say otherwise, but at the end of the day, it's like that shit does sound familiar. Like when you hear it with, Hispanic or African-American athletes that, they're just better at soccer because of, what? I'm not trying to hear that shit, but
yeah, I can't stand that. That shit annoys me.
Oh yeah, but they're taking advantage of, what they have and using that to reach other people. So right. Indirectly, I mean, it's the same political issues that you have in the real world, but they're painting it with that safety brush, so that nobody can call them out on that specifically, and then they dive into these matters, and I think that makes it really enjoyable. And I think what's unfortunate is a lot of people in our age group missed the message. Like they didn't get that, like they literally saw it for what it was in the surface, and they were like, yeah, mutants would be crazy, huh? And I'm like, dude, like, are you not seeing the bigger picture here, or what they're trying to express and relate to?
Yes, thank you.
And
because I've had that conversation with quite a few people,
and I think that's the reason that so much of that nerd stuff from when we were younger has carried on with us, into our 20s and probably even later than that in life, is because it did hit so close to home. It did resonate with us, and we did see what was there, in the late 80s and early 90s and mid 90s and so on. It's like we're there. I mean, I don't want to use the term like we're woke, but we are. We're seeing that stuff for what it is and what the story is, and that transcends into anime or video game storylines or whatever. And I think if anything, we have an advantage because we are exposed to this, and we're getting so much more information in a great way that other people aren't getting. They're just watching what the media gives you. And they're not watching somebody's fun artistic spin on a world with what could happen. And I think that makes it exciting, but it also makes you aware because we see shit like that happen all the time. Like our current president, I'm not going to turn this into a political discussion or anything, but I'm just, some of the shit that he says or, does, and, minorities specifically, like that should not be okay. And that's literally like if you replaced, illegal immigrants with mutants, it's almost the same fucking story.
Oh, yeah.
To an extent. So... not perfectly, but it's pretty damn close. So I'm just saying, like, it's almost like they had foreshadowed the future in a lot of this stuff. So a lot of times when shit happens, I'm just like, oh, let me guess, this is gonna happen next, and we're right. So yeah, I mean, I think that stuff is really important. It's just I think, again, when we were younger, that it was more straightforward, even though a lot of people didn't see it, and now it's just really hidden. So. It is what it is, but with my recommendations, because I know we're kind of rambling back and forth between subjects at this point, but I really hope you guys do take the time to check out those shows that I did mention, because I think that having maybe a follow-up show or something just in regards to what we've discussed today after you guys kind of catch up, I would really love to hear your perspectives on it. I think that'd make for some really interesting content. Hell, maybe even on my show we can just go back and forth, make it work.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. So I gotta say, Tino, thank you very much for joining us on our show. It means a lot, to me and to our other co-hosts, and I'm definitely sure our audience got a lot from you today. And I hope that you guys listening check out the Bodysnatchers podcast. All right, they are so worth it, and you'll get everything you need from them, whether it's gaming, anime, or comics.
Oh man, well I definitely appreciate that. When you do get time though, like make sure you give her that same homework, because I really, I want to address the both of you. And really, I'm very interested to hear both of your perspectives. That's the most important thing to me. So if you guys want to seriously do that, I'm 100% down. So let's do it. And again, for the people listening, you can check us out at bodysnatcherspodcast.com. It's pretty much like a centralized hub is how I treat our website. So whatever they're most comfortable with, we're all over the place.